What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video. If you don't know who I am, that means you're new. I'm Mark. Let's go with y'all. Go check out my other videos. Check them out. Check them out. But first, stay on this one. So, I've always thought to myself, hey, you're going to have to do this video eventually, right? Let me make sure my microphone's still on. All right. So I always thought to myself, hey, you're always going to have to do this video. You're going to have to do this video eventually. It's not something that you're really going to be able to avoid because you already did a video about 5.56. So you might as well do a video about the 223 Remington cartridge. So you guys saw the thumbnail, you read the title, no more beating around the bush. Let's get right into it. 223 Remington or 223 Rem, or as I like to just call it, 223. Is it good for self-defense? Of course, I'm going to run it through as many situations as applicable because 223 is not exactly a handgun round, so it's not too common you see people concealed carrying any firearms chambered in 223. But as I said, I'll run it through as many self-defense situations as applicable and give you my overall score at the end. So let's get right into it. So for home defense, 223 I think is actually a pretty good round. One of the reasons why I say that is despite it still being a pretty loud round, from my experience, I might just, I might be tripping here, guys. I might say that, nah, dude, you're wrong. But from what I've noticed in my experience, 223 is not as concussive as 5.56, which definitely will be a bit helpful in a home defense situation. That is the truth of the matter here. Why? Well, you still do worry about, hearing damage at the end of the day. You still will have to, regardless, of what happens. I mean, whatever. My whole point is simply that 223 is not as concussive as 5.56 from my experience with it, which I've had a decent amount of experience with it. Next, it is an extremely low recoiled round. A lot of people, especially anti-gunners, they hear 223 and they, obviously immediately think the AR-15. And they start freaking out. And they're like, "Oh my God, the 223! It's one of the most powerful rounds ever." And they feel the same way about the 5.56 too, which is kind of odd, but whatever. My whole point, though, is that it is a very low recoil round, and it can do the job for sure when it comes to stopping somebody in their tracks. I'll be 100% honest with you guys. I wouldn't want to be on the other end of a 223 bullet. I don't know. You guys might say, "Oh, well, whatever," but I wouldn't want to. All right, 223 it has definitely been known to stop people in their tracks, and there's no argument about it. A majority of firearms that you find chambered in 223 are going to have a good capacity too. We're talking AR-15s, so we're talking 30-round mags. We're talking Mini 14s. We're talking a solid capacity here, a decent capacity that, honestly, the best way to say it is pretty much made for home defense. It's made to ward off multiple intruders and multiple threats to your life. And that's how it is with just a majority of intermediate cartridge rifle rounds. That's just the truth here. So as far as home defense goes, I'll be honest here. Am I worried about overpenetration too much with 223? I mean, not really, but I'm also not super worried about overpenetration with 5.56 either. The truth of the matter is, guys, that the only time you need to worry about overpenetration is if if you're in an apartment. Two, if it's not a tumbling round, meaning it's not going to essentially just start fucking breaking itself apart. Then yeah, I would argue, you might need to be worried about, overpenetration. But I'm not worried about overpenetration with 223. I'll be honest, that's something that can happen, 100%. It can happen. But it's not something I'm too worried about, which will make it very solid for home defense, as you guys can imagine. I think that kind of went without saying, but whatever, I said it. Regardless, though, for home defense, I think I give the 223 a solid 8 out of 10. Very great round. As I said, low recoil. You get a good capacity with it, and it can stop somebody in their tracks, which is really all you need when you're talking about a caliber to defend your home with. That's what you need. And by the way, not to mention 223, there's usually an abundance of it. Why is that? Or at least if you're in America, there's usually an abundance of it. Why is that? Because the AR-15 is the most popular rifle in our country. And while most ARs are chambered in 5.56, there are some that are only chambered in 223 Remington. However, even the ones chambered in 5.56 still can shoot the 223 Remington. So what is that? You see what I mean here? 223 is it's in demand. You see what I mean? There's a demand for it, so therefore you're not going to have too much trouble finding it, whether it be online or at your local gun store. So that's also something you guys have to remember. Pretty commonly available. Definitely boosts up the score when we're talking about any form of defensive caliber, or really any caliber at all, because even if it's just, shoot around caliber, you want to be able to actually get the ammo to shoot it, Damn thing. Whatever, I'm leaving it alone for now. Regardless, though, as I was saying, I give home defense, solid 8 out of 10 in this case. I think 223 does a good job for home defense. Now, as I mentioned before, it's not like people are walking around concealed carrying firearms chambered in 223. So I think it's safe to say that we can skip past, concealed carry. That just doesn't seem like a very realistic option or something that really should be needed to go over in this case. Moving on from, concealed carry is shit hits the fan, or SHTF. Now, with shit hits the fan, you were talking about a state of mass lawlessness. I've stated this countless times before. You're not worried necessarily about overpenetration unless it's hitting somebody that is your ally in this case. You're not worried about overpenetration unless it's going to fuck up your stuff. So, in a case of mass lawlessness and shit hits the fan, with the abundance of 223, with how low recoil it is, and with the fact that it can definitely stop somebody in their tracks, I can only see this being a good caliber to have. Now, another thing that most people don't like to give the 223 credit for is that you can get soft tip 223s, meaning that you can hunt with those. 223, while not being a super powerful round, not being the most powerful when it comes to, animals, and while being a decently powerful round to stop a person, not being the most powerful to stop certain animals, it still is used as a hunting round to an extent. Not a very, very popular one, not used for a shit ton of different game. However, it is still used as one, which of course means that you could use it as one in a shit hits the fan to help feed yourself. Now, shit hits the fan, I would give it, honestly, I'd have to give it about the same, an 8 out of 10 here. It's pretty commonly available, so you'll have no trouble finding it when it comes to, if you need to go search around to get your ammo, yeah, you should be able to find it. There's, low recoil, as I said before, a pretty good capacity that comes with it, not to mention, and the shit hits the fan, regardless of how, low recoil the round is and how the round isn't a super powerful rifle round to the point of like, not even super powerful, but it's still an intermediate cartridge and one of the lower end intermediate cartridges for rifles at that point. You have to worry about, overpenetration even less. So that, I think I would give it an 8 out of 10 as well, So we're looking at a pretty good start here. We're not a start. We're still looking at a pretty good score, though, for 223 at the moment. Now, next one, and this is one that it's probably going to drop a little bit in score, guys. I'm going to be 100% honest here. Let's see if it'll work. No. Sometimes it just likes fucking with me and doesn't want to work. But moving on, though, as I said before, both prior self-defense scenarios, 223 has an 8 out of 10 so far. So that's a pretty damn good score. The next one, you guys know it well, animal defense. So remember, guys, let's make this abundantly clear. When you are defending yourself against an animal, the chances of them not wanting you dead is slim. That's the truth of the matter here. A lot of people can try to make arguments otherwise. Oh, well, they might only be trying to defend their young and get you away from there. They're just trying to scare you off. Yeah, bull fucking shit. I don't care what any of y'all say. The truth of the matter is that if you were in fear for your life because of a wild animal, you probably had good reason to be in fear for your life. That's just the truth of the matter here. A lot of people, they like to try to, oh, well, it's an animal, an animal's going to be an animal. Nope, I don't care. I don't give a shit. Y'all know this about me. If an animal is a threat to your life, then you better be a bigger threat to its. That's just how it works here. We are the apex predator of the planet. That is just how this works. Why do you think we're the ones who have civilization and everything going on here? I'm getting off topic. Back to what I was saying, though, about animal defense. My whole point is simply that the chances of you, the chances of you surviving, depending on the animal, can be slim to none. But the chances of a majority of animals that are attacking you, not wanting you dead, is also slim to none. So that is something to remember, guys. The 223 is an effective round for, obviously up to a certain sized animal. Would I, obviously it can take down small game, medium game, we're talking squirrels, rabbits, coyotes, whatever, right? Even if it's, just a rabid dog and the first thing you got your hands on somehow is a gun chambered in 223, that's, whatever. But my whole point is that that's about where it really stops. If I'm not mistaken, you can also, as I said, with some soft points, you can take down some hogs possibly. But other than that, that's really all it's going to stop. If you're worried about, something like a bear coming at you, maybe like an alligator or whatever, you might want to rethink taking the 223 caliber with you to defend yourself. And that's just the truth of the matter here. It's not the hardest hitting round, as I mentioned before, for a lot of animals. I would not want to sit there and go up to I wouldn't feel too confident with myself if a bear is charging me and I'm like, you know what, I got this, and I just raise my AR and I only have 223 in there or some shit. I would feel much more confident if I had my shotgun and I had some slugs in it. I would feel much more confident if I even had an AK with some 7.62 by 39, just because in a closer proximity, it does deliver more energy, which is more likely to stop the animal in its track. As I said before, it does a pretty damn good job at stopping people in their tracks. There's no doubt about that. I don't think I need to go over that again. However, larger animals is a whole nother situation. It's a whole completely different story. I guess you could say it's a different animal. You know what I mean? But I guess when you break it down, I guess the best number to give 223 in this situation would be a 5 out of 10. Because as I mentioned before, it can do its job to stop, small and some medium-sized game or whatever, that might pose a threat to your life or might be attacking you. It's definitely not going to stop the larger animals. It's definitely not going to stop something that could, whenever it just decided to be a threat to your life, basically. So, in total, we're looking at, a 21 out of 30. That's like a 7 out of 10. That ain't bad, guys. That really ain't bad. An average of 7 out of 10 for the 223 Remington round is not bad at all. So with that being said, remember, guys, you might love the 223, you might hate it. However, I am simply referring to if it's good or not for self-defense, and I believe it can do a decent job. Now, with that being said, y'all make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, hit that bell. When you hit that bell, hit all. And if you agree with me, the 223 Remington cartridge can do a pretty solid job at being a self-defense round. Make sure to check out all my other videos. And if you don't agree with me, you definitely need to check out all my other videos, because that means you don't know what the hell you're talking about. With that being said, y'all make sure to stay legal, stay safe, stay dangerous. Have a good one, y'all. Peace.